There is a peculiar habit among traders, one that has cost more fortunes than any market crash ever could. It is the habit of looking outside oneself for certainty, as though the market were some mechanical device that could be decoded with lines, colors, and formulas. I have watched men surround their charts with indicators, believing that somewhere in that clutter lies the secret moment to act. Yet the real truth, is far less complicated and far more difficult to accept. The market does not reward those who seek certainty. It rewards those who understand behavior. You see, timing an entry without indicators is not an act of guesswork. It is an act of reading the intentions of others. And if you wish to master that, you must first abandon the illusion that the market is driven by signals. It is driven by people, by fear, by greed, by hesitation, by the same human weaknesses that have existed for centuries. I learned this lesson the hard way. In my early days, I was quick, too quick. I thought speed was my advantage. I would enter positions at the slightest movement, believing I was anticipating the next great move. And sometimes I was right. But more often I was early. And in this business, being early is the same as being wrong. The market has a way of punishing impatience. Not immediately. No, that would be too kind. It punishes you slowly. It lets you feel hope first, then doubt, then fear, and finally regret. By the time you realize your mistake, your capital has already paid the price. So I began to study not the charts, but the behavior behind them. There is a moment in every market move, a very precise moment, when uncertainty turns into conviction. Most traders miss it because they are too busy predicting what might happen. But I was no longer interested in prediction. I was interested in confirmation. You must understand this clearly. The market does not move because you think it should. It moves when enough participants agree that it must, and that agreement leaves footprints. When price approaches a level, you will often see hesitation, small movements, indecision, buyers and sellers testing one another. This is not the moment to act. This is the moment to observe. The amateur sees opportunity here. The professional sees a question that has not yet been answered. Then something changes. The hesitation disappears. The movement becomes decisive. Price no longer lingers. It moves with purpose. That is not randomness. That is conviction. That is the market revealing its hand. And that is where timing begins. But even here, most men fail because they still carry the disease of anticipation. They see the beginning of movement and rush in, fearing they might miss the opportunity. They do not realize that the true move, the safe move, has not yet presented itself. Patience is not simply waiting. It is waiting for the right conditions. When I speak of entry timing, I am not speaking of catching the very bottom or the very top. That is a fool's game. I am speaking of entering at the point where the probability has shifted in your favor. There is a difference. Let me tell you something that many will never admit. The market often gives you a second chance, but only if you have the discipline to wait for it. After that initial burst of conviction, price will often pull back. Not because the move is over, but because the market is testing itself. Weak hands exit, doubters take profits, and strong hands prepare to continue. This pullback is where the real opportunity lies. But again, patience is required because not every pullback is a continuation. Some are reversals in disguise. And the only way to tell the difference is by observing the character of the movement. Is the pullback weak or aggressive? Does it struggle to move against the trend, or does it slice through levels with ease? These are not questions an indicator can answer for you. They are questions you must answer through observation and experience. You must learn to feel the market. I recall a time when I had identified what appeared to be a strong upward movement. The price had broken through resistance with force. Everything suggested continuation. The old version of myself would have entered immediately, confident in the breakout. But I had learned my lesson. I waited. Price pulled back, slowly, reluctantly. It did not crash. It did not reverse. It simply drifted downward as though testing the strength of the move. That told me everything I needed to know. The sellers were not in control. They were merely present, and when the price began to move upward again with the same conviction as before, I entered. That trade did not require indicators. It required understanding. Now, let me be clear about something. This approach will test your patience more than any system ever could. You will watch moves happen without you. You will see price run and feel the urge to chase it. That urge is your greatest enemy. The market is not a train you must catch. It is an ocean. And there will always be another wave. If you miss one, you wait for the next. But you do not jump into the water blindly. Timing, true timing, is not about speed. It is about alignment. Aligning yourself with the market at the moment when it has revealed its intention. And intention is always clearer after the fact than before it. That is why the greatest traders are not predictors, they are reactors. But they reactor with discipline, not emotion. You must also understand the importance of context. An entry is not just about the moment. It is about where that moment occurs. Is the market trending? Or is it ranging? Is it approaching a level where decisions are made? Or is it drifting aimlessly? These questions matter more than any indicator you could apply. A strong entry in the wrong context is still a poor trade. There were times in my career when I took what seemed like perfect entries, only to realize that the market itself was uncertain. Those trades rarely ended well. Not because my timing was off, but because the environment did not support the move. You must learn to distinguish between activity and opportunity. The market is always active, but it is not always offering opportunity. This is where most traders exhaust themselves. They trade too often. They confuse movement with meaning, and in doing so, they dilute the quality of their decisions. I learned to wait for moments when the market spoke clearly, when the noise faded and the intention became undeniable. Those moments are rare, but they are enough. You do not need to trade every day to make a fortune. You need to trade well when the opportunity presents itself. And when it does, you must act without hesitation, because hesitation in that moment is just as dangerous as impatience. You have waited, you have observed, you have confirmed. Now you must execute. There is no room for doubt at that point. Doubt belongs in the observation phase, not the execution phase. Many traders reverse this. They are confident when they should be cautious, and cautious when they should be confident. That is why they fail. The discipline to wait is what prepares you. The courage to act is what pays you. But even then, you must remain humble. Because no matter how perfect your timing appears, the market owes you nothing. Every trade is a risk, and risk must always be managed. I never entered a position without knowing where I would exit if I was wrong. That is not pessimism. That is professionalism. Because the only certainty in this bussin, but is professionalism. Because the only certainty in this bussin, is uncertainty. You may time your entry well and still lose. That does not make it a bad trade. It makes it a controlled loss. But if you enter without understanding, without discipline, without patience, that is not a loss. That is a mistake. And mistakes are far more costly than losses. Over time, you will begin to see the patterns not on the chart but in behavior. You will recognize the hesitation, the conviction, the testing, the continuation. These are the rhythms of the market, and once you understand them, you will no longer need indicators, because you will be reading the market itself. That is the difference between a trader and an operator. The trader looks for signals, the operator reads the game. And this is a game of psychology more than anything else. Remember that every movement in price is a reflection of human decision. Every breakout, every pullback, every reversal, it is all driven by the collective actions of participants who are just as uncertain as you once were. Your job is not to eliminate uncertainty. It is to navigate it better than others. That is where timing becomes your greatest weapon. Not because it guarantees success, but because it places you in positions where success is more likely. And in this business, that is all you can ask for. So abandon the clutter. Strip away the noise. Stop searching for the perfect indicator. Instead, train your eye. Train your patience. Train your discipline. Watch how the market behaves when it is unsure. Watch how it behaves when it is certain. Learn the difference between noise and intention. And when that intention becomes clear, when the market reveals its hand, when conviction replaces hesitation, that is your moment. Not before, not after. That moment. And if you can master that, if you can truly wait for it, recognize it, and act on it without fear or hesitation, then you will have something far more valuable than any indicator could ever give you. You will have control. And in a world where most traders are controlled by their emotions, that alone will set you apart. Because in the end, the market does not reward intelligence. It rewards discipline. And discipline is what turns timing into profit. Most traders believe the secret to success lies in finding the perfect indicator. They fill their charts with lines, colors, and complex formulas, hoping that one day everything will align and reveal the perfect entry. But the truth is uncomfortable. The market does not reward those who seek certainty. It rewards those who understand behavior. Price does not move because of indicators. It moves because of people, fearful people, greedy people, impatient people. Every candle on your chart is a reflection of human emotion. And if you want to master timing, you must learn to read that emotion, not rely on tools. Early in my journey, I made the same mistake most traders make. I was fast, too fast. I entered trades at the slightest movement, believing I was ahead of the market. Sometimes I was right, but most of the time, I was simply early. And in trading, being early is the same as being wrong. The market punishes impatience in a very subtle way. It doesn't hit you instantly. It gives you hope first, then doubt, then fear, and finally regret. By the time you realize your mistake, your capital is already gone. That's when everything changed for me. I stopped trying to predict the market and started waiting for confirmation. You see, there is a moment in every move when uncertainty turns into conviction. At first, price hesitates. Buyers and sellers fight for control. The market looks messy, unclear, and confusing. Most traders jump in here, and that's where they lose. But then something shifts. The hesitation disappears. Price begins to move with purpose. There is clarity. There is direction. That's not randomness. That's conviction. And that is where real timing begins. But even then, patience is required, because the market often gives you a second chance. After a strong move, price pulls back. Weak traders exit. Doubters take profits. But strong hands stay. This pullback is where the real opportunity forms. The key is to observe the behavior. Is the pullback weak? Is it struggling? Or is it aggressive and breaking structure? This is something no indicator can truly tell you. This is where experience comes in. This is where you learn to feel the market. The hardest part of this approach is not strategy. It's discipline. You will watch moves happen without you. You will feel the urge to chase. You will feel like you're missing out. But you must remember, the market is not a train. It's an ocean. There will always be another wave. Great traders are not predictors. They are patient observers and decisive executors. They wait for the market to reveal its intention. And when it does, they act without hesitation. Because hesitation at the right moment is just as dangerous as impatience at the wrong one. In the end, trading is not about being right every time. It's about putting yourself in positions where you are more likely to be right, and managing risk when you are not. So remove the clutter. Focus on behavior. Study how price moves, not just where it moves, because the market doesn't reward intelligence. It rewards discipline, and discipline